Hey, and welcome to the Transform with Plants podcast. I'm Karen, I'm the plant power coach. And for years, I struggled to lose weight and keep it off effortlessly. And it took me around 20 years or so of losing, gaining, trying all the wrong things until I finally figured out how to achieve my ideal healthy body weight in a way that felt effortless as well as freeing. And that was all while I was in perimenopause. And now I've been able to maintain my healthy body weight at a fairly effortlessly rate, I guess, over the last 5 years. Now I'm post-menopause, age 51, and I'm here to help you do the same thing. And while there are so many great books and podcasts and documentaries and other resources out there that promote the benefits of a plant-based diet, the reality is that being plant-based doesn't guarantee that you're going to be able to achieve your weight loss goals. And also just knowing what to do doesn't mean that you are going to put that knowledge into action. So if you're someone who's struggling to become plant-based or struggling with your weight and you wanting some help and support, then you're in the right place. All right, come and see me. All right, and today we're going to go deep on a topic that can massively shape your results, shape your outcomes, shape your health, your habits, and your weight. And honestly, it shapes your whole identity as well. That is your tribe. So these are the people in your world, the humans that you're running with at the moment. So we all want to feel connected. We all want to feel like we belong. But if you are trying to grow, you're trying to have a new result, sometimes it can be that the people that you are around are pulling you back into old ways of being, old habits. And when that happens, it can feel like you're running uphill with like a backpack full of bricks on your back. It's hard. It's a hard way of doing it. And think about it this way, like if you have ever been out to dinner with people, say, and you are ordering something that everyone else is ordering, even though you don't really want to, whether it's something like dessert or chips or bread or maybe even a steak, right? If you're ordering something that goes against the results you're trying to achieve, goes against the identity that you're trying to create. Or maybe, have you ever done something like skip a workout or go into the gym because someone like your partner or your friends weren't doing anything like that? Maybe have you ever decided to indulge in a glass of wine, a bottle of wine, a few margaritas, just because the girls decided that that's what we're doing on Friday night? All right, so this is not about a lack of willpower. It's about a desire to belong. It's about being human. So James Clear writes in his book, Atomic Habits, we tend to imitate three types of people. And the first is the close people in our lives. So these are friends, these are family, these are our partners. The second group of people are the many. So this is like our broader society. This is our peer groups. This is our community groups. This is, the I guess the greater tribe that we hang with, our communities. The third is the powerful. So these are people that we admire. These are people on social media. These are people, that are successful in the world that we follow and who we really admire, who we'd love to be like. So they influence our habits as well. So today we're going to focus on those first two, the people who are very close to us in our life and the people within sort of that broader community space that we have, because those groups have the biggest influence on our everyday life. They have the biggest influence on our habits and our health outcomes as well. So here's a bit of an uncomfortable truth. Most of your habits, your current habits, don't exist because they reflect what you actually value. They exist because they reflect what your tribe values. Let that sink in. So let me share you a couple of examples from my own personal story. Many years ago, when I was trying to go plant-based, I wanted to go vegan. For me, it was all about going vegan for the animals. In my soul, I knew that this was right for me. I was vegetarian at the time. I had, transitioned from being pescatarian back to being vegetarian, and I was vegan for about 5 years in my 20s. And I just I just knew that this was a healthier way of living for me. I also knew about the link between dairy and breast cancer, and there is breast cancer in my family. So my grandmother, my great grandmother, they both had breast cancer. My mother skipped my mother's generation. So, here's me thinking, okay, maybe that's on the cards for me. So there was a little bit of health involved as well. But just, in my heart of hearts, I knew that I didn't want to support the dairy industry. But I was scared, a little bit scared. I was apprehensive, not because the change was hard, not because I thought I was going to, miss out on anything, because, there's so many vegan alternatives out there these days. It was more because there were people in my community, not necessarily my close tribe, but there were people in my sort of broader community who were really triggered by that word vegan. They were already triggered by my vegetarianism, let alone going vegan. And also at that time, I would see there was a fair amount of bullying of vegans online in certain spaces. There were certain things that were just sort of happening out in the broader community, and people were saying things like, "Oh, bloody vegans," and just making comments like this that were quite triggering. There was a lot of sort of anti-vegan sentiment generally, or at least I was very sensitive to it back then, because now it was something that I wanted to move towards. And now I was noticing where there was this anti-sentiment, and it made me afraid to change. And I was worried that my tribe would then judge me, and that anti-vegan sentiment would then be directed towards me. So I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to feel like I belonged in my community and in my tribe. And so I stalled making that decision. I didn't make that change, even though my soul wanted me to, even though I had that desire, even though I knew that that's who I was underneath. And also I knew it was going to be better for my health. I was stalling because belonging and being accepted and being approved of was more important to me at that moment. It was easier just to keep eating the same way, not as everybody else, because I was already different being vegetarian, but it was easier to not make that change so that I wouldn't stand out so much, so that I was more fitting in with everybody else. And then I had my big, I guess, kick up the butt moment, that health scare. I was diagnosed with a stage 1 melanoma. And that was, suddenly my wake-up call, I guess. Suddenly I didn't really care about what other people thought about me. And I made that switch because I wanted my body to have the best chance at recovery. I only needed 2 surgeries. I didn't need to do chemo or anything like that. Thank goodness. My spidey senses told me that something was wrong with a particular mole on my leg, and I got it checked out quickly. And so I didn't have to have a huge amount of, I guess, Western medical intervention to, heal my body, just 2 surgeries. But I wanted to make sure that my body stood the best chance of recovery and the best chance at not having this melanoma come back and bite me in the bum, like metastases. When melanoma metastasizes, I think that's the word, when that comes back into the body, it is a devastating disease. I've seen what it does to people, and it's awful. So I wanted to give my body the best chance at not going through anything like that, to make sure that I really fully recovered, and that I was setting myself up so that I wouldn't have complications in future. And so really at that stage, I didn't care about what people thought of me anymore. My life was more important to me than other people's opinions. So it was only at that point that I was able to face that discomfort of making change. But it took a health scare. And this is what I see many people making too. They're holding back from making the healthy decision because of fear of disconnection from their tribe. And then they realize, oh, actually, that doesn't matter anymore. My life may actually be in danger if I don't make this change. So another experience, I guess, from my history was I used to, the tribe that I was hanging with many years ago now, that my tribe, we were very sociable. We used to love going out to the pub, going out to gigs, live music. I had a lot of musician friends as well, and sort of like hanging out in the pubs, and everyone's drinking and smoking and, staying out late partying. And and it was a lot of fun, I have to say. It was a fun period of my life. But, it was sort of also at a time when I was also really fit. And I was at the gym 4 to 5 days a week. I still cared about my health from a food perspective. That's when I was vegetarian. That was before I went vegan. And so, I still wanted to take care of my health. I wasn't necessarily eating rubbish food. I cooked my food at home. So there was this part of me that really did want to be really healthy. And then there was this part of me that was clearly doing things that weren't. But these friends of mine, they weren't necessarily interested in being their healthiest selves either. They didn't exercise. They weren't exercise people. They were, the booze and cigarettes type of people. They were the musicians, the live gigs, the music type people. And I'm not saying there's anything, it's not that one's good or bad. It's just that they're different values. And like I said, it was a really fun time. But there were two parts of my life that were in conflict with each other. And I remember there were many times when I would come home on a Friday evening, having worked a long week in the corporate environment, and all I wanted to do was just, sit down on the couch, cook myself some dinner, sit down on the couch and have a really quiet night in so that I could be up early in the morning and go and do a big workout. But then I was always called to the party, wasn't I? Friday night, come around to have drinks at my place. And there would be times I'd be like, no, I'm just having a quiet night in. And then I remember one evening, my friends ended up on my doorstep to actually drag me out after I'd specifically said, no, I'm staying in. And so I found myself making decisions to align, I guess, with that lifestyle, with hanging and connecting with those people, because they were my closest tribe at that time. I was also socially smoking with them. Yeah, I put my hands up and say I used to be a social smoker. And why? Because it felt normal, because that behavior was normalized in that crowd. And I knew I was drinking way too much. I knew I was staying out too late because it was normalized in that crowd. And there was a time when I made a decision that I didn't want to. I wanted to back away from doing this to my body, doing this to myself. I wanted to give up smoking. I wanted to stop certain behaviors because it didn't align with who I wanted to be. It didn't align with that healthy version of me inside, that version of me who wanted to feel great when I went to the gym and not feel the lungs, heavy breathing. I didn't want to be driving to work on a Monday after a big weekend and feel my lungs, impacted. And so that was really at odds with how I saw myself and who I wanted to be. And so I started to change. I started to say no to certain things. And when I did change, I really started to feel my tribe's, I guess, attitude towards me change. I felt like I was now kind of being crowded out, pushed out, like I didn't belong there. And like perhaps they felt judged by me. Like somehow it was safer to push me away so that they could just keep doing what they were doing with their destructive habits and not then feel judged by me. I wasn't judging them at all. I wasn't judging them at all. Like they're free to do what they want. I just didn't want to be part of it. But because they felt that disconnect, they just naturally assumed that there was some judgment going on, and it made them uncomfortable. They saw me making healthy decisions for myself, and it probably triggered them to realize that they weren't necessarily making the healthy decisions for themselves. And when I felt that nudge of disconnection, and then guess what? Most of those people just aren't in my life anymore. The truth is, I guess that we probably, apart from music, apart from the music side of things, we probably really didn't connect over anything that really mattered. There was no like personal growth going on in this community, and there was no health in this community. And that old version of me wasn't aligned with the future version of me that I was creating. I wanted a future that was very much involved in healthy living and personal growth. And this just wasn't sitting right with me anymore. And so I had to make that uncomfortable decision. I let those habits go. And there was a period where I actually let the tribe go too. And it's okay. This is the uncomfortable thing that people struggle to face, is actually moving or changing their tribe. And I see this happening with people all the time in the plant-based space too, whereby maybe their family or their closest friends don't want to eat plant-based. They're not on board with the journey. Their, like their working spaces with their colleagues is all about, there's always cakes and donuts or food in that environment, or, the Friday night drinks with the gang, or maybe, their best friends that mock things like eating plants or eating tofu and instead, eating steak. So I see people playing small. I see people doing what's convenient, eating what's convenient. They're giving in to the tribe and staying the same as the tribe to avoid the conflict with the tribe, or avoid that feeling of disconnection. That in some ways their connection is beating their personal progress. It's more important to them than their progress. And here's another uncomfortable truth. If you're always trying to fit in with your crowd, then you'll always stay stuck with the habits of the crowd, even when those habits go against your goals. And so let's zoom out of that now, and let's just look at this need that we have for belonging, this need that we have for connection. It's actually in our wiring, in our makeup, in our DNA. So back in the day of, early human evolution, being cast out of the tribe meant certain death. We needed that tribe, we needed that group in order to survive. So, we needed to survive in order to find food together, to seek shelter together, and keep ourselves safe from predators together. We were safest in tribes. So we've evolved to want to be part of a tribe. Also, if you think about like when we're born as babies, we need our tribe, our parents, for food, for safety, for comfort, because at that age, we are useless. We're helpless on our own. We will die. Like, we literally cannot put food in our mouth without someone else, without our tribe. We need our tribe in order to feel emotionally connected and emotionally safe, emotionally regulated. That's what helps us feel safe. So we've evolved to depend on tribes, depend on community. From that evolutionary perspective, our survival has always depended on cooperation and fitting in with other people. So being part of that tribe means more protection. It means shared resources. It means a collective wisdom as well. And our nervous system has developed to constantly be scanning for signs of safety or for threat. And social acceptance becomes one of the strongest indicators of safety. To be excluded or rejected triggers our fight, flight, or freeze response. Not because we're weak, but because we're wired that way. So even now, your nervous system is interpreting social cues like judgment, like criticism, like isolation, and it sees that as a threat. And that's why it feels physically uncomfortable to go against the norms of your group, of your community, of your family. Think about times like Christmas or Thanksgiving and how odd it can feel, first time at least, or the first few times, to be eating different food to everybody else. Your brain is literally believing in that moment that your survival is at stake. So yeah, your nervous system freaks out at the thought of rejection. And that's normal. But the cost of belonging to the wrong tribe, that can be huge. That can be huge for your health, for your energy, for your confidence, for your future self. So let me say this clear. I want you to hear this. You don't need permission from anybody else to make healthy choices. You do not need to explain why you're on a health journey. You do not need to make decisions to keep anyone else comfortable. If your current habits are a match for your current tribe, but a mismatch for your future self and the goals that you want to achieve, it's time to start leading, not following. So this isn't necessarily about ditching your people, but you do need at least one tribe where what you want to be doing and the results you want to be having are normal. So that might be a tribe where eating plants is just what people do. It is normal. Where eating whole plants even is normal. To not be cooking with oil, to not be eating ultra-processed foods, to being able to say no to the chips, to the cake, the chocolate, the candy, whatever. You may need a tribe where moving your body, where walking, where lifting weights, where meditating or journaling or staying well hydrated, where that is part of what is normal. We're getting sleep and having an early night and waking up refreshed in the morning, having a good routine, doing your food prep, whatever it is. Right? You need a tribe that is going to make those new habits feel normal to you. You need a space that shifts your baseline. So your standards are calibrated by the room that you're in. So if everyone around you either skips workouts or does not work out, or eats whatever's convenient or what's easiest, goes through the drive-through, gets pre-prepared, orders Uber Eats, whatever it is, doesn't care how they feel in their body, then that's going to become your standard too. You won't have even realized that you've lowered the bar because it's just what is done in the room. If everybody in your life is overweight, it will feel normal to you to be overweight, right? Even if you are the smallest person in an overweight family, it still feels normal. You may feel good for being the smallest person, but you may still be overweight or obese, right? Because it's a standard within your tribe, and that standard is creating your normal. But when you step into a room where people stretch themselves, evolve, put nourishment of their body first, and take radical responsibility for their habits, your standards can't help but rise. It's not about pressure, but it's about making something else normal. You rise because they rise. You rise because you now want to be accepted by your new tribe. You don't want to be rejected by your new tribe. So you are lifting your standards for yourself in order to fit in with their higher standard. So let's take this a step deeper now. We don't just mirror behaviors. We actually mirror back energy, beliefs, identity. This is called emotional contagion. So if you're around people who think that healthy eating is hard, that weight loss is impossible, where health problems are the norm, heart disease, diabetes, they're just the norm, and that you may as well just enjoy your life while you can, then that's going to be your mindset. That's what you're going to believe as well. So even if you're motivated, their energy is going to keep pulling you back into that old identity. On the flip side, you get into a room where people talk all about health. They talk about healing. They talk about reversing disease with plants. They talk about building healthy bodies. They talk about daily movement, hydration, sleep, the importance of keeping your stress low, right? You will change, you will rise, you will shift, you will recalibrate to fit in with that space just because you're in that space. It's not just habits that you're changing, it's your whole identity. Your identity thermostat is actually getting reset by being in that environment. What is now normal to you is starting to change. Neuroscience shows us that we have what's called mirror neurons. And they activate in our brain when we observe others doing something as if we're doing it ourselves. And this is also how babies learn from their parents. They, like monkey see, monkey do. So when you're surrounded by people who do things like food prep, who work out, who talk kindly to themselves, who eat tons of plants, who only eat tons of plants, who don't buy chips and chocolate and cookies and things like that, your brain starts firing as if you were doing that too. How powerful is that? You're literally practicing the behavior just by being in that environment. And that's the kind of rewiring that most people miss. And that's why being in the right room can be so powerful. Being in the right community is so powerful to help us change. Identity doesn't form in a vacuum. It is something that is socially reinforced. The people around you reflect back to you who you are. So if you are trying to change, but your people, your current tribe, your family, your friends, they're still treating you like the old you, it's going to be much harder to become the new you. And that's why stepping into that new environment is so powerful, because people start to see you differently and you start to see you differently. You start to believe that you are different too. And when your belief changes, well, then behavior becomes effortless as well. Let's use like another analogy to highlight this. We'll use a money analogy. If you want to be a millionaire, but everyone that you hang with is just scraping by, you're going to hear a lot of conversations, maybe around bills, around limitations, around fear, about the price of groceries, how things are really expensive, how we can't afford things. But when you're surrounded by people who are earning a lot of money, those conversations change. So they might have already solved a lot of those early problems. This is not about one being better than the other. It's not a judgment. It's not a comparison. It's just about choosing a tribe that reflects and stretches you and where you want to be. All right. So there's a great quote that goes, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So the same applies here to your health journey. If you're trying to up-level your health, then you need to find a room that makes healthy normal. And there's also a brilliant clip from Kerwin Rae, rest his soul, where he says, if your tribe isn't growing, they'll try to pull you back, because when someone changes, it triggers the hell out of everybody else. And it's true. If you start losing weight or getting fit or saying no to wine or margaritas or beer, whatever it is, then people might feel judged, even if you're not judging them. That's not your problem. That's their own triggers going off because they realize they aren't doing the best for themselves. Your job is to run with a tribe that is heading where you want to go, because then you'll naturally start running at their pace, not the pace of your old one. That's why I so believe in coaching, because it's not just about knowledge. It's not just about know what to do and how to do it. It's about immersion. It's about putting yourself in the energy, in the mindset, in the environment of the person that you want to become. And that's how you rewire what's normal. That's how you build belief in yourself. That's how you create consistency with your new habits. I've seen this over and over again, like with coaches that I've been through coaching school with clients, with myself. Whenever I want to achieve something and stretch myself, I make sure I'm in a community that is going to stretch me and going to force me to up level and achieve things that I've never been able to achieve before. The people who stay stuck are the ones who try and figure it out on their own and try to grow and change in the same environment that created their current unsuccessful or unhealthy habits and results. So you need to get yourself into a new environment, one that stretches you, one that supports you, makes you feel seen, helps you lift your standards, doesn't make you feel weird for having those standards. So here's a couple of questions for you. Are your current habits yours? Or are they just what your people do? And if no one judged you at all, there was no fear of anyone saying anything about you, no fear of being different, rejected, abandoned, what would you eat? How would you move? What would you start doing? What would you stop doing? That discomfort that you feel, lean into that. That is awareness waking up in you. And that's power too. That's where your power lies, leaning into that discomfort, not moving away from it. So now that you're more aware, you can start to change it. So imagine this with me for a second. You walk into a room, whether it's online, whether it's in person, and you feel at home, like you're around your tribe. No one's questioning your food choices. What you put on your plate is completely normal. People are celebrating your wins. They share new healthy plant-based recipes with you. They talk about how energized they feel, how strong they feel, how healthy they feel, and how much they've healed their body. They believe in you, even when you feel a bit wobbly, and they actually help you resolve problems instead of leaving you to wallow in those problems and trying to one-up you with their problems. They help you resolve those problems. And you realize that this isn't just a new tribe. This is a new you. It's a new normal. One that's always been there, just waiting for the right space to come alive. So find your new tribe, like get the support that you need. Make healthy your new normal by the tribe that you spend your time with. Jim Rohn, who was Tony Robbins' mentor, said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's a really powerful statement. So if you want to raise your health IQ, you've got to raise your circle. You've got to start hanging with the people for whom this is normal. And if you don't have a circle that supports you and your future, you're always welcome to come and join mine. If you're not part of my community, I have a free Facebook community called Plant-Based Health and Weight Loss Support. Feel free to come and join us. I've got a link in the show notes here for you. Or if you need some more help and support closer in a coaching environment, I do have a coaching program as well. Just come and book a call with me and learn more about working together inside the program. What we'll do is we'll talk about where you are at the moment, talk about where you'd like to be, what your goals are, what your challenges are at the moment, and we can create a plan for you. And then if it looks like it's going to be a fit to work together, we can talk about what that looks like. Okay, and now, because you've gotten this far, thank you for sticking with me for so long. I have created a PDF guide to help you create an environment for success. So if you know that your own environment may not be supporting your goals and you'd like some help with that and how to clean it up so that you can stay on track and achieve the success that you want to achieve in the long term, what I'd love for you to do is go to theplantpowercoach.com.au/environment and grab that free PDF resource. I've also linked that in the show notes for you. So thank you for listening. I hope you found it helpful, and I'd love it if you give me a follow here on YouTube so that you can stay up to date with all of the new episodes as they're released. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this message, then please forward it to them, because sharing is caring. I am on a drive to impact more people's lives, help more people succeed in their plant-powered health and weight loss journeys. So I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day and farewell.